Hello. Okay, so it's been a little bit since I've filmed an actual vlog check-in or any kind of check-in really for my channel because a lot of the content that I've been posting was made before I moved. And if you've watched my March vlog, you know that I moved out of my house at the end of March, the house I've been in for 6 years, and it's due to a really crappy person buying the house from my previous landlord and basically telling us that we had to pay over $1,000 more every month or move out. Obviously that's not ideal. We've really struggled finding a place. I'm self-employed, so there are like these requirements I have to meet that are a lot higher than if I were to have like a normal job, even just like a part-time job. So it's really frustrating. We're doing what we can, but currently I am living in my car with my boyfriend and our 2 dogs. Yeah. It's not ideal and it's hopefully just temporary, but it is what it is. I debated mentioning it, but in my last monthly vlog just decided to go for it because none of my content is going to be filmed in my old house anymore, and I thought that might be weird. Obviously I'm not like a big YouTuber. I don't have a lot of people following me on here. Grateful for the ones I have, but it's not like a huge number, so there aren't going to be people like asking what's happening, but I figured I just wanted to be upfront about it so that it didn't feel like I was hiding anything. Like, I'm not ashamed of the situation, it sucks, but a lot of people in this country are very close to being in the same situation as me, and we're just gonna do what we can. Obviously the dogs remain unbothered, so yeah, so currently I'm actually in a hotel and I've been here for a little over a week. A couple of my friends put us up in this hotel and I am so grateful. I was nearing, actually I just started my moon time, which it's my period. I just don't like that term, so I just call it moon time, like a werewolf. And I have really bad cramps. I was actually going to see a doctor before I moved because I have like really tough moon times where my cramps are like, it's so bad. And I'm also anemic, so my blood gets like low iron and stuff, and it's just a really bad time for me. Doing that, like having that experience from the car was already like on the first day just horrible. I was questioning, like, not to be upsetting, but like I was literally questioning my will to live. Like, it was really difficult. So the fact that a couple of friends managed to help us and put us into this hotel has been so freaking appreciated. We spent like 10 or 11 days in the car before getting here, and it was so stressful. It has continued to be so stressful, and we are going back to that soon. It is what it is. Again, I'm just gonna say that a lot because that's kind of the mindset I have to embrace to get through my day-to-day. But focusing on like some of the good parts, we're in this hotel room. It's pretty great. It's just like a normal hotel room, but they have like free breakfast and like cable and really good Wi-Fi. So, I mean, and I have a private bathroom and a bed, which when you're living in your car, those 2 things are not things that you have, and they're things that you really, really start to miss. So I can't even tell you how grateful I am to have been here for so long. Yeah. While we've been here, I've gotten like a lot of work done. I was having a really difficult time working from my car. I just did not feel safe. And again, and I know I've mentioned it, but I'm autistic, so not having a routine and like just not having stability is so difficult. It's really hard for me, and it would be hard for anybody. I'm not trying to make it seem like it's worse for me than it would be for anybody else, like for my boyfriend or anything, you know, like it's just been something that I've been struggling with. It was really hard for me to make art. It's hard for me to read. It's hard for me to do anything. I really envisioned things going differently. Like, I thought things would be different, but I would still be able to like read and record and do my normal stuff. And for 10 days that basically just stopped. Like, I could not do things. I couldn't focus. It's just been rough. So being here has allowed me to actually catch up on a little bit of things that I was behind on, which is really great. I've been filming this. I have a bunch of clips I'm gonna show after this intro, and I've been reading. I finished 2 books while I'm here, so I'm very excited for that. And then I will talk about them as I go, because obviously I'm filming this after, but just a little brief mention. These are the 2 books that I managed to finish this week. Obviously, like, one of them is manga, it's illustrated, so they weren't 2 like fully read books, but you know what I mean, like I read them. Let's get that good thumbnail. So yeah, I'm going to do a bunch of clips of just life here in the hotel, the things we've been doing, the stuff I've been working on. I had some time to do Patreon work, so that was very, very, very good because I was a little bit behind. I managed to pack all of my Patreon rewards for March, and I also got a bunch of like little paintings that I'd been working on in the car completely done and sent out. I worked on my May art print for Patreon as well, which is a little ghost in a hotel, and I'm really excited for the sticker for my sticker club because it's a ghost waffle. I think it's so cute, and it's just in honor of like the time we spent here and like the complimentary breakfasts. I literally lived off of waffles for like 3 or 4 days because there was also an issue with my bank and I couldn't access it. So what are you doing, Tibby? Hey, little guy. I don't know what he's doing. Tibby. I also played some video games, which was really fun because, again, I haven't really been able to do anything from the car. Even like when I tried and like loaded up my laptop and stuff, it just didn't feel safe in the places we were to be using my laptop and playing video games. So being indoors again and being able to do that and play Resident Evil 4, like the remake, is so good. And then also like Dreamlight Valley, because they've had like the recent update that came out on April 5th. So I've been really looking forward to that and playing that and getting like the little Easter eggs and the events going on. So yeah, I'm so glad to have been here for a bit. So yeah, let's get to the footage from my time at the hotel and also a little bit about the books that I've been reading, and then we will wrap this up. Hey, so I just finished my first book that I have read in like 3 weeks. And just as a little bit of extra information, I read 86 books from January to March. Like in those 3 months, I literally finished 86 books. And then I went all of April up until like yesterday, not reading anything. It's a huge jump. I just couldn't focus. We've been dealing with a lot of stuff, so it's been really hard for me to read. So I'm so glad that I finished one. And this is an author that I've read before, Megan Miranda. This is her newest book, I think. It just came out. Sorry to be so close, but I just want to show you that this is supposed to have like a different epilogue because it's from Target. It's like the Target edition, which I don't know how I feel about that. Like that's pretty weird to me, giving different endings depending on where you buy the book or like what edition it is. I don't know. I don't think I really like that. I don't know what's different in this to any other version. I don't really know that I care enough to go look it up and find out, to be totally honest. But let's a little bit about the book. So this is following our main character, Cass, which her name is Cassidy, but the whole time I kept pretending and thinking that her name was Cassie, like me. And when she was in high school, she went through this really traumatic accident with a bunch of other classmates and a couple of teachers, and not everybody survived. So there were only a handful, or a little bit over a handful, of survivors, the only survivors. And every year these people get back together and they kind of just like check in, make sure that everybody's doing okay. They sort of feel responsible for each other in a way, and you don't really know why until the story keeps moving along, because it's kind of a slow burn in the beginning and eventually they do start flipping chapters. They're kind of like dual perspectives, so you're kind of like seeing what happened during that accident and then also the aftermath and what they're dealing with now. So our main character, after 10 years of this, she kind of doesn't want to be part of these survivors anymore. Like she's like, let's just move on. I don't want to come to this meetup every year. This is like dragging me back, holding me down. I don't like it. And then one of their friends dies. And this is the second of the survivors that's died in the last 10 years since they survived. So alarm bells are going on, and it was also one of the survivors that the main character was especially close to. So she decides to go back. She decides to meet with her friends, and shenanigans ensue. Again, this is a bit of a slow burn. Not a lot happens in the beginning, and you're mostly just kind of like introduced to the different characters. I personally don't think there needed to be as many characters as there are. I feel like if there were like 4 or 5 survivors instead of like 9, that would have been fine. That's just me. It's not that the characters like blended together, because they did each have distinct personalities and like quirks and stuff, so I didn't have trouble keeping them apart. I just didn't feel like they were necessary. I don't usually tend to like books that have like big casts anyways, for that reason, just because I feel like it could be done with fewer and it would be a little bit more impactful. And that was my issue here as well, but it's a small issue. It didn't really detract from anything. I still liked it fine. I have read several of Megan Miranda's other books, and I went into this one with the mindset that if I did not like this, I would not pick up anything else by her, because I've literally bought the last 3 books that she's released and I did not like any of them. Like, I think I gave them all like 3 stars or lower. So I wouldn't exactly say I had high hopes, but the stakes were pretty high. Just like regarding my own personal library. So I don't know, maybe the stakes are pretty low. I don't know. I am very happy to say that I did like this one. I gave it 3.5, maybe 4 stars. And that's because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know who the bad guy would be. I had suspicions, and one of my suspicions was sort of correct in a way, regarding one of the characters who I felt like was pretty obviously like not great from the beginning, even though they were trying to make them seem great. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, this one had like really good vibes for like the atmosphere, like a coastal, stormy sort of, like, I'm from Florida and I've lived through a lot of hurricanes. So having that sort of described, like the air and like the electricity and like how it feels like we're the last people here and how isolated it can be, I really, really liked that. And I thought that the author nailed it completely. It was just a little bit with the characters that I felt were kind of boring, but I totally liked this and it was fine. And I'm so glad again to have finished a book. So yes. So for the other book that I finished, this is Junji Ito's, I think, most recent release. I saw it in Barnes & Noble and I had a gift card and I didn't know what else to get because nothing else really appealed to me. And I'm not trying to buy books, but I was having a very bad day and was like, look, I've been saving this gift card for a very bad day and that day is now. So I went and I got this book. And the cover's gorgeous. I really love the colors on this. It's like greenish, bluish, pretty, like underwatery. Some of his others also have like a colored theme, so having this one with the green spine is gonna look nice on my shelf when I have a shelf again eventually. Yeah, but this is a collection of 9 stories, I think it is, and I honestly really liked it. There was a lot of really creepy stuff in here that I think could have gone further, and that's my only issue with this collection, I think, is that some of his other collections feel like the stories are full stories by themselves. But for this one, it felt like a lot of these stories were leading up to something else. Like, I don't know, this felt like a collection of illustrated prompts, almost like as if he were handing this like synopsis or this first paragraph or first beginning off to somebody else so that they could write out an actual story. And I would have loved to see the actual stories from Junji Ito in this collection, but it just kind of stopped. Like the stories had no ending and they just stopped. I don't know if I'm explaining it really clearly, but it's not something that I've experienced with a lot of his other collections. Like usually, again, they are just like encompassing of a story. There's a start and a stop. Even if the ending is kind of like open-ended, there's still a clear ending. But for these, it was like, okay, like now what? I kept expecting that another chapter would pick up on the same stories that we had just left, and then that didn't happen. So yeah, I don't know. I really liked this collection. I liked what it was and what it could have been, but I didn't like it as much as some of his other collections because it felt like unfinished maybe. I don't know. I've read a lot of his notes in his collections, and in basically all of them he's like, I'm all out of ideas. I don't know what the hell I'm doing and I'm just going for things like to see what sticks. I think that's very clear here with this one. And that's not to say it's bad. I feel like I wish some of these had better endings or like more clear endings or were longer. That's it. That's something that I think I can say solidly. I wish some of these stories were longer and it had the chance to flesh themselves out a bit more. Yes. Overall, solid 4 stars. I would definitely recommend this. If you're a fan of his other books, definitely check this out. Also, there was something in here in particular with like a tongue, and that part, that really grossed me out. I was like, ugh, no, absolutely not. So this is me checking out of the vlog. The 2 books I read, I shouldn't have probably started this holding those, that was weird. The 2 books I read this week in the hotel. And again, I'm just so grateful that we had time here indoors with a private bathroom and a comfy bed and waffles for breakfast. Things could definitely be worse. We are going to continue to look for a place and hopefully we'll find one soon. But if we haven't found one in the next couple of weeks, I think we are probably going to go on a little bit of a road trip maybe, because neither one of us have seen our family in 6 years. And that's a long time. So we might go do a little bit of traveling just to go see our families, because we're not really making any headway here. But I mean, fingers crossed, hopefully we will find a place that's more stable. But if not, I might have a couple of road trip vlogs coming. I don't know, we'll see. I honestly have no idea where my life is going right now. So thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.